Thank you very much for attending this patient journey webinar. I'm going to just talk a little bit about today about how to generate a higher return on your marketing investment. I know we scoped out an hour for this. It's going to take much shorter, maybe 15, 20 minutes, but the points that I'd like to get across are important, but they shouldn't take that long. So let me share my screen here. And we'll start with it. This is a graphic we put together at Raider 8 here that talks about the patient journey. And what I'm trying to do is really put myself in the patient's shoes and what exactly are the patients thinking, you know, as they go about choosing a doctor, and what's that process like. So, you know, I talk to practices all the time, and a lot of money is invested in brand awareness, right? That's one of the most expensive investments you can make. Some practices will spend more on brand, you know, marketing and brand awareness than they do on their MRI equipment. So, or diagnostic equipment. So people are spending money on social media ads, Google ads, billboards, advertisements at the local ballpark, sponsoring teams, high schools, print ads. I mean, there's just so much money is spent. And those are worthy investments because it, like for me, if I'm looking for, let's say, an orthopedist in my area, you know, until my gym closed obviously recently, but until it closed, I'd walk out of the locker room and there was a banner that advertised a local orthopedic group. And there's another competing orthopedic group in our area that advertises on TV. I get remarketed on my on Facebook. I see their ads all the time and videos. So a lot of money is being spent. So the first thing that happens is I'm going to check my online reviews, right? Let's say I have an injury. I hurt my shoulder or my knee or my hip, and now I'm looking for I'm using orthopedics here as an example, but I'm looking for a doctor. So I'll just type in that brand that I know of, that name of that practice that I've been exposed to. So the first thing I'll do is go online, and let me hop over to here, and I'll type in, I just found this random practice. I don't know anybody from this practice, so they're not a client of ours, but I did find this practice in Texas, Victoria Orthopedics. So let's say they're spending all that money, and I type in Victoria Orthopedics, right? So remember we're here, and we want to get to here, where they book an appointment, the new patient, you know, new patients. So I type in this practice's name, and we see here, right away, the only graphic on the screen, the only thing that attracts my attention is that Google listing. It has 3.3 stars, 14 reviews. It's a picture of like a building, a delivery truck, not a good picture. And now I'm kind of saying as a patient, well, maybe I should be checking the other practice who's been, you know, whose ads I have seen or who I know of in the community, right? So this is not a good look. Right, and this is, you know, so to me, this is an inefficient use of marketing dollars, right? I spent all this money on marketing and brand awareness, and the patient, first thing they do is they see this. So that's a lost opportunity. What I might do then, even if I don't know of another name off the top of my head, I might go into the local search mode. So now I'm going to say, well, let me find the best orthopedic doctor in Victoria, Texas, or best hip doctor hip surgeon near me. You know, with those local searches, and Google will pull up a 3-pack. So here's your 3-pack, and I see a couple doctors, not a lot of reviews. This doctor looks maybe okay. But only has 2 reviews, 5 reviews. Here's a practice that's not this practice here, the Victoria Orthopedics, right? So it's a different practice with only 1 review. So as a patient, I really don't have a lot to go on. I might even go to more places and see, you know, what's going on in my area, and not a lot of reviews. Well, here's pediatric, you know, the ortho had picked up orthodontics, so, but I don't want this. So I'm looking down. And there's not a lot that sticks out. One thing I did notice here is, you know, there are some practices with more reviews, but under 4 stars. But since there's a bunch of reviews, I might click on this. But there's really not a compelling website in this area that will make me click and visit the website. So as a patient, I'm a little lost. What would have been really nice is if I typed in the practice like Raleigh Orthopedics, and I saw this. Or Brad, I know you're on the phone. If I typed in Cary Orthopedics, which I know is down the road, right? And I saw a nice building, 4.8 stars, 421 reviews. Like here, I'm feeling more comfortable now, certainly more comfortable than this look over here. So now my marketing dollars are becoming more relevant and being used more efficiently, because now a patient, they don't have to go to the local search. They don't have to go to the next practice that's on the top of their mind. They could just click on the website and visit and start that process. So that's the first step. We call it a break in the chain. If you don't have a positive online image, right, patient gets here, you broke the chain. You lost them, and it's going to be very difficult to get them over here. So that's the first step. The second step is, okay, they're going to visit the website. Found some interesting websites, right? So this website I really like. This is actually a client of ours in Alabama. They have it right on the main banner. So again, it's all about getting patients to make appointments. So today we have to do things a little bit differently to get patients to make appointments. They feel very uncomfortable and nervous about going to the practice. They don't want to catch the coronavirus. So here's a great thing right on the homepage. No lobby waiting. You click Learn More. It brings you to a page that explains that process. So I'm a patient. I made it past. I made it past here. I get to here, and now I'm reading about all the safety things you're doing. I'm going to pull up here too. This practice has, first time you get in, I've opened this up multiple times. That's why I'm in incognito here. So I could actually load this and show it. But when I load their main page, it says we're here, we're open, we're here to take care of you, and it goes through all the steps the practice is taking to make the patients comfortable coming back. I see a lot of websites where you don't see any of this, and it just, maybe the patient will say, I'll stay home another month, I could wait another month. This makes the patients feel safe and comfortable. So now you haven't broken the chain yet, right? You're making them feel comfortable. They're more likely to investigate further and make an appointment. By the way, if anyone has any questions, there's a Q&A icon at the bottom. You could just type it, and I'll intermittently answer the questions. Here's another client of ours. This is great. Washington Orthopedic Sports Medicine announces 3 new fitness programs you can do from home. Great. They care about me. They want me to be able to do things from home. This is interesting information. Just another good pop-up to let patients know that you care about them and you're thinking about them and the challenges they have now where they can't go to the gym or can't do fitness programs. And right here's a contact office for an appointment. So I like these. Just some ideas for you all out there. Okay. Now that I'm on the website, okay, remember, we still haven't booked an appointment. There's still more work to do to get the patient to make that appointment. So a lot of practices, a lot of you folks on the phone have a lot of providers. So who do I choose at this practice? Well, this practice, Pinnacle Orthopedics, another one of our clients, does a really, really nice job. It's one of my favorites that I've come across, where most practices do have like a services or types of services we offer. Here, right on their homepage, they have, what's my problem? They're very patient focused. So I'm a patient. What's my problem? Oh, neck, back, shoulder, elbow. Let me click on hip. A little explanation about the hip, and I click Learn More. And he has information about the hip, but more importantly is they have, I don't know, 25, I don't know the number, but 25 doctors. Here are all the doctors who do hip replacement surgeries. A lot of practices just list the doctors. They'll have like just a list and links. Not as effective as pictures. Pictures are great. So I might be a patient now, and just think of the alternative. If there's no, I see a lot of websites where they're breaking the chain. They talk about the procedure, and they don't say who the hip replacement or the joint replacement doctors are. So the patient has to call, pick up the phone, call the practice, wait on hold, go through a phone tree, talk to someone in the call center, say who does hip replacements, and then hope, and then the person on the phone is not going to read the 10 doctors that provide those services, maybe 1 or 2. So I don't even have all the doctors who do that procedure. And now you're making it hard for the patient to make an appointment here. Okay. So this makes it easy. Remember, it's about that patient journey. They get to the website, they find what they need. Oh, here's Dr. Burris. He looks like my best friend from college. Let me click on him. And then this practice has a nice picture. Interesting, a headshot here, but something that makes him look, fun, sporty. an alternate picture. He's at looks like a sporting event, a nice background. We could read about the background. But something interesting with this doctor is, you know, whether you use a system like Raterate or you just have your web designer get patient testimonials and post them, patients want to know more about the doctor. They want to know what patients think. That's why they went to the ratings in the first place. In fact, just a little stat, there was a Wall Street Journal article, I could send it to everybody here, a Wall Street Journal article in 2017 that said according to Pew Research, and we all know Pew Research, it's very reputable, 77% of patients will look for online reviews before picking a new doctor, right? So they look at the online reviews, but they come here, and it's very nice to have a nice testimonial area widget where they could load all these testimonials and read it from Google, Healthgrades, Vitals, and also our Raterate internal ones. They could read all these testimonial grade testimonials, for lack of a better word, so, or feedback. So this is really nice. It gives that patient the comfort. There's also this badge here. There might be another page I'll load up. This is a doctor's verified review page, and this will show, oh, this one's misrated here. Great visit, felt safe. But these patients are saying all these nice things about the doctor, and patients could read more. So now we're at the point where it becomes easier and easier in the patient journey. Now they have all this information to book an appointment with this doctor. That's wonderful. This practice has a call now button. I know a lot of practices on the doctor's bio page, they don't have an appointment number. Some, you know, you should have the number, a big phone number here or a button to click. Make it very easy for the patient to call the practice. So where are we right now? We've spent a lot of money on marketing. We have great online reviews. They came to the practice website. They found the specialist they want. No problem. They read about the doctor, the experience, the doctor's schooling, the background, the training. They saw patient testimonials, patient feedback, and now they click on an appointment button, and you just made it real easy for a patient to make an appointment. So I hope you'll take inventory of your website and go through your patient's journey, and I hope it's as smooth as what I just showed you, because it really should be to maximize these marketing dollars. So, you know, I've been asked, you know, the next part of what we're going to talk about is the practice improvement part. So we have new patients come in, and what happens after the new patients come in? Well, I feel strongly, you know, when I started Raterate, I didn't build reputation management. I had a very rough, my wife and I, we were checking into a hotel actually in Prague, and it was a name brand hotel, and some guy, Federico, gave us a really bad check-in experience. A good way for us to complain. So, you know, we got a survey from the hotel that was like 60 questions a week later, and I didn't want to complain about Federico right in front of him with a manager. So there was no way to provide that feedback. So the very first thing we did at Raterate was create a practice improvement, you know, feedback module. So that's kind of at the core of what Raterate does. And the idea is that you get patient feedback, you measure the feedback so you can improve the patient experience. You generate word of mouth referrals, right? Happier patients will tell their friends, friends and family, and that leads to new patients, right? Which really, word of mouth is like branding. So everything feeds into itself, reputation management and practice improvement. Somebody asked me just today, which side of this do you think is more important? And, you know, again, why we started the company is this side. It's the practice improvement side, I feel is much more important. Because I think if your patients are unhappy, but you happen to have good online reviews, it's a little bit like lipstick on a pig, right? That's not a sustainable way to grow your practice, right? Is by making patients dissatisfied and just having some nice reviews online. So both of these sides are important, but I think this side, word of mouth, is gold. Happy patients that tell their friends is kind of a lost art of marketing because everyone thinks digital these days, but it's really, really important. So I'm going to talk about practice improvement, but I did skip over something, so I just have to go back 2 seconds. I just wanted to show this page here. This is the doctor's bio page with all the with the testimonials and without. So again, if you're a patient, with, without. With is much more inviting. I have more information. I want to make an appointment. This practice does not have a phone number here. It would be nice to have a phone number to make an appointment. Okay, so we talk about feedback. So I'll just show you a minute or two, just how to go about that, right? Here's the Rater 8 dashboard. We have tons of feedback. We could see all the comments, and we could filter down and get there's millions of good comments. 96% of patients in the Rater 8 ecosystem give a 4 or 5 star rating. So very few patients give those 1 and 2 stars. So you want to filter them out and see what the problems are. But really, the benchmarking report is where the action happens. So I'm just looking at this benchmarking report for this practice, and immediately I just look at it and I see right here on the right, they're below the benchmark the most on staff friendliness. So clearly this practice has a staff friendliness problem that should be resolved. I might want to look at the comments that the patients are making. And again, we talked about before the filters. Let me do the 1, 2, and 3 star comments. So these are the nasty comments. What's wrong? And just by clicking those 3 buttons, I know exactly what the problem is. No one smiled. They're too busy to help you. They don't address you when you come in the office. Not too warm and friendly. You get the picture. The staff is not the best staff at this practice. We always joke around, but half serious. You really need to hire bartenders to greet patients, right? They can multitask and they could talk and chat. So you want to take this feedback, sit with your staff, go through all these items and measure them. Say, here's our benchmark. You have a graph and a chart, and you want to see improvement over time and provide incentives for them to improve. So that you do improve that patient care. Also, if you have, that's the negative side. If you have the positive comments, right? Especially people often mention names here, especially if name tags are worn. You could, provide feedback to your staff and say and tell them what patients are saying about them and the good things they say, give them the pat on the back. That's, especially these days with the millennials, they love that pat on the back, that recognition, and it motivates them to please patients. Plus, if they know they're being rated and mentioned and their names being mentioned by patients, makes them work that much harder, to please patients, to get these numbers up. So that's a little bit about practice improvement and how once you do that and you delight patients, you're going to just generate more new patients. So that's the patient journey. There's one other thing I wanted to add. It's kind of like advanced patient journey. Let's go to the website here. The question comes up all the time. If I have one doctor that goes to 2 offices, should I have a Google listing for each office? And it's really, Google talks about their best practice for doctor's office that you should have 1 doctor, 1 office, 1 list, 1 doctor, 1 listing, and not multiple per office. We at Rater 8, we disagree with that. We think the downside is if I have 2 listings like this doctor, 2 listings for 1 practice, you dilute the rating. So here's 24 here. That's a satellite office. Here's 77, so 77, 24. So I could have 1 listing with 101. So we dilute the ratings a little bit. But really the benefit comes from, again, the patient journey. Think of a patient who's doing that local search. This patient here, this is Garner, right? And then this is Raleigh. By the way, this is owned, this business. These listings are owned. There's just something in my browser. Whenever I pull up a practice, it shows, or a listing, it shows not owned, even though it's owned. So if a patient's sitting in Garner, North Carolina, and I type in orthopedic doctor near me, if the doctor has 1 listing in Raleigh and there's other doctors in Garner, this doctor will not show up, right? In the 3-pack, in the 3 here, or this long list here, this doctor won't show up in Garner because they don't have a Garner listing. So that's one great reason to have a listing for each office, because it's just more of a chance that the patient's going to come across it and make an appointment, right? Click on website. Again, the journey, the website, read about the wonderful testimonials, the verified reviews, read about the background, make an appointment. The other thing is, if I have a mobile phone and I type in, let's say I'm in Garner, and I type in Mark Nichols, MD, because I need directions to his office, if there's only one listing, it's just going to show Raleigh. And I might get confused and say, oh, there's his office, and I click directions. Now I'm driving to the Raleigh office. So I end up at the wrong office. So that could be another problem. So that's another reason to have separate listings. The other one is, one last one is, think about it. If I go and let me just search for, let's say I have an Aetna guide or a Cigna guide, and I'm looking up physicians, and I see Mark, in Raleigh, North Carolina area, I see Mark Nichols, or I heard from a friend, you should see this Dr. Mark Nichols. So if I just search for his name, it depends where you are, but oftentimes it'll show two listings. Instead of the listing here, it'll show two listings. So right now the patient then sees, oh, this doctor has a Garner office and they have a Raleigh office. That's great for the patient because they might be in Garner, and if they don't see it, they might say, well, let me check the next doctor on the list. Maybe he has an office closer, right? So just when patients are searching for a doctor, just to see that the local office near their home in a local search result, because there's that listing for that local office, makes them more likely to make the appointment because nobody likes to travel far to see the doctor. So that's another good reason. So those reasons that I just gave far outweigh, I think, diluting your ratings. Just build it over time, whether it's 24 or 77, just build them over time and have those two separate listings. So that concludes the discussion part of the patient journey. Took about 25 minutes here. This is not like the Excel webinars I give where there's lots of questions. I don't know what questions anyone might come up with, but if you have a question, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to ask. While you're doing that, I just wanted to point something out. This is the latest Google update. As we know in medicine, they're not accepting Google reviews. They actually are. You could type and put in a review. Here, we'll go to this doctor here and we'll go to reviews, and I could write a review. Google will let you, and I'll type it. But as soon as I click submit, it'll say something along the lines of there might be a delay in posting your review, right? So Google's accepting reviews, they're just not posting them. And their latest guidance says, we'll also gradually publish delayed user reviews and photos submitted to Google Maps. So if you have a reputation management system, you could still send patients to your listing, they could still put in reviews, and then at some point the floodgates are going to open, and all those reviews that have been put in over the last couple of months during this crisis will eventually be populated, and that's according to Google. They have it right here on their bulletin. Okay, so I'll just no questions. Good. I hope this was very helpful for everybody. If you have any other questions, you could go to our website. I'll show you where you could contact us. You could either go to the Contact Us page. By the way, if you go to our website here, try to move your mouse and catch one of these. They kind of move away. We just put this up. It's really fun. But if you go to the bottom or Contact Us, you could see our 800 number or info@radiorate.com. Mark said I have checked the chat. Someone has a question. Let me see chat. Carrie, Radiorate is a certified vendor. I want to know if we do the CG CAPs, the MIPS macro surveys. No, we're not a certified vendor, Carrie. We have a lot of practices that do both. They'll for a certain amount of time, they'll do the government surveys. And then, or just for a certain type, like new patients, they'll do the government surveys, and then they'll do the other surveys for Radiorate. I didn't get into a demo here. Happy to show you offline, but the government surveys are 30 questions and they're brutal and the response rates are low, and to get a follow-up patient to do 6 months later another government survey, the chance is very low. Radiorate, we have a 26% response rate, and subsequent surveys that are sent have almost a 26% response rate. So we have a way of cutting down our surveys to make them ergonomic and short, so they're just very different than the government surveys. The CG CAP surveys, although I know a number of our clients do want that. I think you get a half a point for MIPS macro So they choose that measure to get their half a point. But we do not do that. So good question, Kerry. Any other questions? Did I see anything? No other questions. Okay. With that, we'll conclude the webinar. Thank you very much for participating. I really appreciate it. And stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of the week.